STP is short for single touch payroll. The ATO have brought in where they want businesses to report information, pay information as a pay event. So that's whenever you do a pay run, you pay an employee, you pay single touch payroll. So the Australian Taxation Office is moving to STP because they want to protect businesses' most important asset, which is their employees, and there's been a number of businesses that haven't been meeting their obligations, and when they hit any financial issues, they use the super and their super liabilities as a bit like a loan, so they don't pay their employees their super. So it's looking after your employees to make sure that they're paid. The ATO have looked at different ways of trying to tighten up superannuation, the paying of superannuation by companies, and they moved to having a super stream, which was to try and get the companies to report through a set channel, so they could monitor it, and that was, I guess, step one, and step two is implementing single touch payroll so that they know the liability each pay run. So there's a number of advantages, particularly for for both sides really, for both the employer and the employee. So the employer no longer is obliged to produce payment summaries, or what was known previously as a group certificate for their employees. The employee can go online and access their group certificate at the end of the year, or they can instruct their tax agent or their accountant to do the same, to log on and have access to that information. So they no longer have to wait for the employer to produce the payment summaries. They can see the information straight away, but not only that, they can actually see it each pay run. So every time the employer makes a payment, that information will appear in the employee's portal, so their MyGov portal. So the key dates for single touch payroll: if you're an employer with 20 or more employees, you're most likely already reporting single touch payroll, unless you've applied for a deferral. If you're under 20, so 1 to 20, key dates, it was officially became legislation on the 1st of July. So, but the ATO, Australian Taxation Office, in their kindness, has offered a deferral, so 3 months deferral. So the key dates for the 1 to 19, companies with 1 to 19 staff, is 30th of September this year. And it is possible to apply for a further deferral if you're not going to meet that obligation by the 30th of September. That's you contact to apply for a deferral. You'd either contact the ATO, Australian Taxation Office, directly, or you'd ask your BAS agent or your tax agent to do that on your behalf. And the other category that comes into play is also what they call the closely held entities. And closely held is usually a family business, or it might be a business with a single director, no employees, and they take they take money from the company as and when it becomes available. So the ATO is still working through how they're going to administer that side of things, but at the moment there's a 12 months deferral for closely held entities. So if you haven't implemented single touch payroll by the deadlines, so in the case of 1 to 19, 30th of September, and you haven't applied for a deferral, you're probably going to come to the awareness of the Australian Taxation Office, and they'll probably send you a letter. And if you still don't comply, then you're probably going to get a phone call and then possibly a visit. So I guess it's sort of like keep your head down type approach with the Australian Taxation Office, and don't draw attention to yourself. So so I highly recommend businesses meet that deadline or apply for a deferral. I guess in life they talk about three different types of knowledge. So there's what you know, there's what you don't know, and what you don't know that you don't know. So my suggestion would be find yourself a good accredited consultant for your particular software, or alternatively have a chat with your accountant just to stay on top of what's happening in the industry and the changes that are coming up. There's been some really big changes to accounting in the last 5 years. We've moved from the desktop where you had the software installed directly on your computer to cloud accounting software, which means that you can use the software anywhere. So go for a holiday overseas, and if you really want to take your bookwork with you, you can log on, computer overseas, and access your information. But one of the great things with the cloud software is that it also allows advisors and consultants to be able to assist you directly. So logging directly into the software rather than requesting a backup, restoring the backup. They can work live in the file. So what can we expect coming up with accounting software? I guess there's probably two big areas that come to mind. The first is that there'll be a lot more automation with software. So at the moment you've got the ability to snap a photo of a receipt, send it directly to your accounting software and have it appear with minimal coding. Bank feeds also help to automate the process of entering transactions. But one of the big areas, and it's something that's close to the Australian Taxation Office's heart at the moment, is e-invoicing. And that's the ability to, so what e-invoicing is, I'm using one accounting software, brand of accounting software, and somebody else might be using another brand. And I register my software with a clearinghouse. The other supplier, my customer, registers with their clearinghouse, and I send them an invoice from my accounting software, and it'll appear automatically. It gets pushed automatically into their accounting software. So no rekeying. Software goes straight through, and it's all done through a clearinghouse. The interesting thing is that the Australian Taxation Office are looking at being the clearinghouse. You've got to ask the question, is that good or bad? It certainly streamlines things, but it also, I guess, gives the Australian Taxation Office a clear view of who's invoicing what to whom. So watch this space. It's going to be very competitive. I guess the important thing is to get advice when you're implementing cloud software or any business software for that matter. It's really a case of what you know, what you don't know, and what you don't know that you don't know. And I don't know, I've had quite a few clients where they've had to go themselves, and they've asked me to come out and to then assist them. And usually the process takes twice or even longer to get it set up correctly, because quite often you have to unpick a lot of what's been done previously, and in some cases start afresh. So I guess the key thing is get some advice, and probably not your mates down the pub, unless they're accountants or they're business consultants, business software consultants. So that's what I'd recommend, is getting some good advice and getting some assistance at the initial stage. The price that you pay will be cheap in the long run. So the best way to roll it out is you need to have a think about the timing. So when you're going to roll it out. So usually at the beginning of a new financial year, or at the beginning of a new BAS quarter or month is a good time to look at doing it. It makes it nice and easy. And again, talking to somebody who can help you and talk you through what needs to be done and provide the training to get it right the first time. Particularly with single touch payroll, because you want to make sure that you've got it right, so that you don't draw the attention of the Australian Taxation Office. There's an interesting space for the smaller businesses now, so the 1 to 4 companies that employ 1 to 4 people. In that there's the ATO have a list of software providers that provide accounting software for under $10 a month. And recently Reckon have released a free product, so if you want to report single touch payroll, there is a free phone app where you can actually record the information and lodge it directly with the ATO. And yeah, so there's it's an interesting space, the 1 to 4. Yep. Hi, I'm Neal. I'm a business software consultant with over 25 years in the industry, and I specialise in Reckon software. I help clients by a number of ways. Come out on site and sit with them. I can provide remote support and provide a full range of services from initial consulting to setup, installation, ongoing support, and then looking at how we can refine what they do in their business practices to get the most out of their accounting software. Why do I love this field? It's a great challenge, so no 2 days are the same, and I get a sense of satisfaction for helping clients to achieve better profitability with their business by having a better overview of their finances and looking at improvements to their business.